What's up, everybody? Hey, I'm getting ready to degree this cam in. Actually, I've been working on it already a little bit, just got a little ahead of myself. But I wanted to go over a couple of things. I want to go over the fact that you got to degree the pointer in first and indicator, use the indicator with the piston, or you can dead stop it. There's a couple ways to do that, but you got to come to TDC being true TDC. So I've already rolled this through and kind of figured out as far as the intake center line and all that. And that's why I'm going to show you guys the 50-50 method, which is the 50-50 method. And I'll get back to show you how to degree the pointer in first, because you need to have that on the money, is the 50-50 method for degreeing the camshaft in, which a lot of the intake lobes and exhaust lobes are different on the opening flank and the closing flank of the lobe. So basically, saying one side's different than the other, so you need to go to do the peak lift method, or I call it 50-50. So I'll get to that in just a sec. Let's just kind of want to show everybody the method as far as getting the pointer lined up. And I'm going to try to hold the phone and do this for you and not make this too terribly long for everybody, so everybody will follow along. So that's 10, and we got on there, it looks about 92 and a couple tenths, so I can deal with that. So we'll roll it past TDC to top dead center, make sure we're at our true 0, and then we'll go back and see. We'll get this lined up at 10, and see what we come up with here. And we got 93. So the 1 thou I'm not going to worry about too terribly much, because it's pretty close. I mean, if you really wanted to mess with that, you could fool around with that for a little while, but it's less than the width of the pointer, so I'm not going to worry about that too much. So guys, anyways, what we're going to do is, I've already got this 0 mark on the indicator here, is peak lift. So the way to do this, and this is one rotation on this is 50 thousandths. So I've already kind of got this dialed in, so I can maybe speed the video up. But basically, I'm shooting for 108 intake center line, which I've achieved. This has got a Cloy's hex adjust and makes it kind of quick and dirty to dial the cam in, makes it intake center line. And just for a note, I am checking it at the lifter. It might be on certain valve trains a degree or degree and a half, maybe 2 degrees back or retarded at the intake valve itself. Now, I just do this as a reference, so I know where I'm at, and then after I'm done here, I will do another video, because I am going to check piston to valve, which I think is very important, because this thing's got some cam in it. The cam in this is 254 on the intake. The exhaust is 270. At 50 thousandths, and it's on 112 lobe separation with 5 degrees advance, or how everybody says it now, 112 plus 5. So that's what we got. This deal is going to maybe see a little nitrous, but it does have a bit of static compression in it, or 14.6. So the cam calls for 107 intake. The cam card calls for a 107 intake center line, but I'm putting it at 108 only because it is going to be probably a drag and drive deal with some E85. And I just want to close it a little later, because the engine is bigger, and I don't really feel that I need to squeeze it. It's already got some good static compression. So anyways, well, let's get to dialing this baby in. So I'm going to try to roll this through, and I already kind of know my numbers here. So, but you'll watch the indicator, it'll rise. And probably what I'll do is I'll just roll it up to peak lift to make sure we're still on 0, which would peak lift on the cam would be your intake center line. So I got a pretty good idea where that's at, and it's off about a half a thou. So let's dial that guy in. Now I'm going to roll the engine counterclockwise back and go past our 50 mark, and then let's roll it around back to the 50 before peak lift, and we'll go to 0, which is our 50 before. So okay, there's 0, and we are right at 60. Now I'm going to roll, watch the indicator go up one more time. This is going up to peak lift, and go to 0, and then as it comes back down, we're going to stop at the 0 again, and that will be your number for how you come up with your intake center line, and that is right on 0. And we've got, oops, here, looks to be, sorry guys, I'm trying to look at the screen and do this. So we're just like about a line past 156 there. So what we can do, take a calculator here, and hopefully this will work out. So we got 60 plus 156 equals, that's 216 divided by 2 equals, so we've got 108 intake center line. Now that's referenced at the valve. And that's how I do all my stuff. I just degree it in, or excuse me, at the valve, at the lifter. And then we can check it at the valve later, but I don't think with a checking spring and this mild a cam and blah, 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 we'll see any deflection, and you got to check it with a regular spring on it. But it's kind of hard to do with the hydraulic cam because you don't have the lifter pumped up. So at any rate, I will put a set of solid roller lifters in there and here in a minute, and we will set the head on with the head gasket and check the piston and valve clearance on both intake and exhaust. Write those numbers down, and then I'll also show the free drop method, which I put the engine at TDC, or you could do it 10 degrees before or after, either however you want to do it, and then come up with that number. So if you know then your piston and valve, because you took time to check piston and valve clearance, which I'll show you guys how to do, and I guess I'll talk to you a little more instead of just staring at the engine. So I'll show you guys how to do the piston and valve. We just went over checking intake center line, and you can do the math with your cam card and come up that with the exhaust center line, which will now put it, now we have at 108, would then put the exhaust in at 116 instead of 117. So which should give us plenty of adequate piston and valve. But I am going to check with a solid lifter, because if you check with the hydraulic, even checking springs, it does change. And I want to show you guys how to do that. There's a proper way to do piston and valve. And you check it with clay, but I like to check with the indicators. And clay is a good way to do it too, because then you can check your radial wall clearance on the intake pocket and the exhaust pocket, make sure you got enough room there. Especially with certain aftermarket pistons, some of the guys like to tighten that up for more static compression. I will go over that at a later date or another video, but I just wanted to show, you know, how to degree the cam in like we just did, and how to find true top dead center with your indicator. And you could use a dead stop. That works great too. It's just as positive. You just dial your wheel in. I just do this method because this is what I have. And so now that we've got that, we got our 108 intake center line. That's kind of what I'm shooting for. A cam card calls for 107. At any rate, guys, I'll get on to the next video. I got some more, if you will, for the guys that want to follow me, and I appreciate it. And as a good friend of mine says, smash that like button and hit the subscribe button as well. And I'll try to get these videos a little better. I'm working on getting a tripod and some little better lighting in my little engine room. And yeah, we will see what we can come up with. And then I am going to do a dyno video on this engine too. It's 436 with some compression, like I said, it's got some camshaft in it. And I'll kind of go over a little bit in depth too why we picked a 112 center. It's going to get a little nitrous oxide. And I really feel for the RPM window we're running these in, the little narrower centers, 107 to maybe 111, seems to work a little better in my opinion on the LS, only because you're running in that RPM window, and especially if you're looking for power, we want to make as much as we can in that window. Higher RPM stuff, yeah, we can do a wider center for sure. I'm not opposed to the wide lobe separation stuff, but certain RPM ranges, I really feel a tighter center works better, depending on the stroke of the engine and cylinder head combo. I mean, there's a few things there. Just my own opinion. A lot of other guys, I know maybe camp guys might tell otherwise, but what I found over the years I've been messing with these things, that the tighter center does seem to favor this certain particular cylinder head. This one's got an LS3 head. Like I said, I'll go a little more in depth on everything. And one of these days I'll get a whiteboard and I can show you how to do the math both ways checking it at 50 thousandths of lifter rise versus doing the 50-50 method at peak lift like I just showed. But that is more probably the better way to do it now because the lobes are in different shapes on both sides. All right, guys, hit the smash that button and hit the like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys here soon. All right, thanks.